Hey guys, Alicia here. Today I am getting ready to do a really easy crock-pot meal that we absolutely love. I got this recipe from my mother-in-law years and years ago, and it's one we've been making ever since because it's really easy and really good. Now the original recipe I believe was called spaghetti squash and meatballs because it uses a spaghetti squash and it had chicken sausage meatballs. Those meatballs used a ground chicken sausage that I cannot find anymore. I haven't been able to find it for a really long time actually. If you are able to, then you could absolutely still use that. But since I can't ever find it, I just use sweet Italian chicken sausage. Links in mine, and it works pretty well too. So let me jump in here and show you what you're gonna need to make this. First off, you're gonna need a medium spaghetti squash. And then as I was saying earlier, I use sweet Italian chicken sausage, links in mine. You're also gonna need some tomato sauce. I've got two 8-ounce cans here. A little bit of minced garlic, some olive oil, basil, oregano, and thyme. The recipe also calls for optional hot pepper relish. We used to use Tabasco. Instead of that, we just put a little bit of Tabasco in. The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of hot pepper relish. So if you want to use that to give this a little bit of heat, you absolutely can. Or like I said, you could put a little Tabasco or something like that in it too. And we will sometimes do that, but this time I'm not. I'm making this and I want it to be kid friendly, so my son will eat it, so I'm not gonna put anything hot in it. But that is everything that's in this. Not very many ingredients at all. Like I said, very easy, but very tasty. So let me get started and show you how this comes together. So in my crock pot, I'm gonna go ahead and dump in my tomato sauce, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, some minced garlic. I put about 4 or 5 teaspoons in there. And then I use about a half teaspoon thyme, half teaspoon oregano, and a half teaspoon basil. And you can adjust this to your own personal taste, but that's what we put in there. And then I'm gonna just stir this together real well. Then you're gonna take your spaghetti squash and you're gonna cut that in half like that. And then you're going to scoop all the seeds out of there. And I find that an ice cream scoop works pretty well for this. So got those all cleaned out, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut up my sausage. So I don't know if I said, but this is sweet Italian style with red and green peppers in it, which adds a nice little extra flavor. So I'm gonna take these and I'm gonna just slice them into kind of bite-sized pieces. And then back over in my crock pot, I'm gonna take my spaghetti squash and I'm gonna just lay them in my crock pot. And then I'm gonna just kind of drop my chicken sausage in that sauce around them. And just kind of use my spoon here to get those down in that sauce. Then I'm gonna put the lid on this, set it to low. So I'm gonna let it cook about 4 or 5 hours until that spaghetti squash is fully cooked. The chicken sausage is already fully cooked, so it doesn't need to reach any type of internal temperature. But this spaghetti squash will take, like I said, about 4 or 5 hours to get fully cooked, but then I will be back. This has been cooking in here for about 4.5 hours. And that squash looks done, so I'm gonna go ahead and take those out of there. And then I'm gonna take each one of them and I'm just gonna kind of scoop all of that squash out. And I had to grab myself a little silicone mitt because these are hot. So I'm gonna grab the other one and scoop that out. And then I'm gonna return all of it to the crock pot. I've got all that scooped out, so now I'm gonna go ahead and just pour all that back in here.
It smells heavenly.
It does smell really good. And then I'm gonna just stir it up real well, and then it's gonna be ready.
If our marriage had a smell, it would smell like that. Heavenly.
Okay, got that all mixed together. I'll go ahead and get a serving out. And here is a serving of that, which I'm gonna call 1 heaping cup. This makes just over 6 cups, so a little over a cup per serving. And for me, that's gonna be 4 points. You also earn a point for non-starchy veggies in this. So for me, 4 points plus an earned veggie point for the day. Okay, I'm gonna have my hubby try this. It's been a while since we've had it. So go ahead. It smells really good.
Yeah.
I love the crock pot because of that, because you could smell stuff cooking all day long.
It's one of my favorite dishes.
Yeah, it is really good. And really easy. In my spaghetti squash, I probably overcooked a little bit, but honestly, this is how mine usually turns out. You know, if you don't cook it as long as I did, you'll get more of, I guess what, a spaghetti looking
Yeah.
texture out of the squash. Mine's kind of more on the
But you can,
mushier side, I
it's
guess.
a real fine line because you can kind of get that really stringy
Yeah.
if you don't cook it enough, but it looks different. But
Yeah.
this is, I mean, it's got a great flavor. The most prevalent flavor is the Italian sausage, which is great. And then that's followed up by the squash kind of balances it almost.
Yeah.
I don't have much to say other than it's really good.
It is really good. And like I said, I would, if you want that more spaghetti look, you can cook it a little less, but.
And I guess I would just check the crock pot every so often, and if it starts looking good and it's tender.
Yeah, and I just don't, like I said, I don't worry about it because I don't mind it like that. I kind of actually prefer it like that, to be honest, because like you said, if it is a delicate balance, if you don't let it go long enough, the texture's gonna not be the best. So you can see a little bit of what looks stringy in there, I guess.
So part of it's not a problem, just the reality is that squash becomes translucent, and so it blends in with the sauce.
Yeah, yeah. But we're going for taste in this house.
Yeah. And it tastes good.
And it does taste good like that. It tastes as good as it smells, and it does smell really, really good. But yeah, this is one of our, longtime favorites? We've been doing
early Weight Watchers.
Early days of Weight Watchers, yeah. And we do have several from early days that,
Don't mind me.
oh yeah, go ahead. That we just really love and still make, all these years later. But yeah, that is, I'm not sure what to call this, because again, the recipe is spaghetti and meatballs, spaghetti squash and meatballs.
Spaghetti squash, yeah.
But we're just kind of call this
Spaghetti.
Crock-Pot spaghetti squash and chicken sausage. I hope you guys enjoyed. My husband is obviously enjoying it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.